So you're a singer who wants to improve their voice, you want more vocal range, more flexibility, more agility, or more options sound color wise. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. I've been a professional singer for the past 15 years and a vocal coach for the past 5, and my journey has been quite bumpy. Because about 9 years ago, I started getting some serious voice problems, and I was still a full-time touring musician, so it was really rough on me. Now what happened is, I was touring all the time, all year round, because most singers that aren't world famous, they have to play a lot of gigs. So I was doing about 3 to 7 gigs per week, all year round, and I didn't realize I was doing everything with bad technique. Because when I was young, I could still do it, I was strong, I could push through it. But after a while, after a few years, I started getting vocal fatigue. Now in the beginning, it wasn't that serious, but I kept doing it. Then I took a break, went to Vietnam for 6 weeks, didn't sing at all, came back, and my voice didn't work the same anymore. I couldn't make the same sounds anymore. My body just couldn't keep up anymore because it said, with this bad technique, I just can't do it anymore. So the hard part was that I still had to do all these shows that I was booked for because, like I said before, if you're not very famous as a singer, you need to work hard to pay your bills. So I decided to take my broken instrument, go play all these shows, and it was terrible. It really destroyed me. Then after a while, I started looking for help because I thought I can't continue like this. First teacher I ever had was an opera singer, which kind of helped me a little bit, but it made me sound like an opera singer, which I didn't like. And he never explained any technical concepts. He never explained what the use was of an exercise or what my problems were. So it was very confusing. Then after a while, I thought I'll just get really good singers to help me. So I worked with some famous people who were great singers, but they weren't great coaches because they couldn't explain what they were doing. They were just born with the natural gift of singing, so they couldn't explain to me what I had to do in order to improve my voice or how they did the exercises themselves because it just happened. So this was also very confusing for me. But then at one point, I started working with a complete vocal technique coach, and this changed everything. With the complete vocal technique, my voice started changing in a matter of weeks or months, whereas before I had to work for years and I barely noticed the difference. So it turned out that the complete vocal technique was a thing that really worked for me. And that's why I decided to go and study it in Copenhagen for 3 years. Now, when I started studying the complete vocal technique, I didn't have the goal of becoming a vocal coach, but in order to be allowed to study there, I had to coach people. So kind of by accident, I became a vocal coach, and it turned out that I really love it. So now I've helped hundreds of singers improve their voice with all the knowledge I have and the experience of losing my own voice and having to build it up again from scratch. And in order to help these people, I use a really simple system, and that's what I want to show you now. It's the same system I use to train my own voice. It's the same system I use on the students I have and how I make them improve sometimes in minutes. So I'm going to explain to you all the parameters I'm looking at whilst I'm coaching, and maybe you can start implementing them yourself as well. So my system is built on 4 pillars. The first pillar is the vocal blueprint. The second pillar is the core. The third pillar is the vocal gearbox. And the fourth pillar is the Soundscape sanctuary. Let's take a look at the first pillar, the vocal blueprint. This is where we create new habits and where we build a foundation. So we're going to take a closer look at how the voice works because my teachers never told me and it's really important you understand. And we're going to learn how to train the voice in a healthy way, how to avoid mistakes, and how to know we're going in the right direction. In order to understand how we train the voice, we need to understand muscle memory. That's the biggest takeaway from this pillar. Because what we're actually trying to change with singing lessons is our muscle memory, our habits. We have a certain way of using our voice, of reaching for the high note, and we want to change this. So we need to understand how this actually works. And the fastest way to change your muscle memory is to do 3 repetitions. So if you do a good sound example, if you sing the note in the right way, you want to repeat it 3 times in order to train it into your muscle memory faster. But it works in 2 ways. So you also want to prevent making too many mistakes. And this is a mistake I see with a lot of beginners. Like they'll try to sing a high note that they struggle with and they'll repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Or a song they struggle with, they'll sing it a million times. But all this does is train bad habits into your muscle memory. So it will take a longer time to relearn, retrain the muscle memory again. So as you can see, it's really important we understand the foundation, the blueprint that we want to work with in order to get good habits and in order to train the voice in an efficient way to make the fastest progress possible. If you're enjoying this video and you want some extra help with improving your voice, you can either book a guidance call, the link is in the description of this video, or you can go to my Instagram, that's also in the description, and you can write me the word sing, so I'll know you're wanting to improve your voice and you need some help with it. Let's take a closer look to the second pillar, which is called the core. And in the core, we're going to take a closer look at what it takes to produce healthy sound. There's three things we need to pay attention to, which are breath support, twang, and we need to prevent recreating tension with the jaw and the lips. Now, breath support is one of those things that is very vague to a lot of people, but it's so important for your singing. And I feel like most singers or coaches don't pay enough attention to it, which leads to a lot of problems down the way. Most students I get into my studio, they actually struggle with breath support because nobody ever explained it to them in a proper way, even when they had coaching before. So with breath support, it's really important that you understand it, what it does, how you implement it, and how you train it into your voice. Then a second thing that's really important for healthy voice use is twang, necessary twang. If you don't know what twang is, this is the sting twang, the twang you can hear. Ah, ah, ah. It's this very sharp sound. And we want to use enough of that in order to sound healthy. So I go, ah, this is still twang, but you can't hear it. And twang actually happens by the epiglottic funnel, which is a little tunnel above your vocal cords. It narrows and creates this sharp sound. So it goes, ah. And then the third thing we really pay attention to in the core to have healthy singing is your tongue, your lips, and your jaw. So you should never protrude the jaw because that will create tension on your vocal folds. And you should never tense up your lips. So a lot of people, when they don't have enough breath support going on, they will actually compensate by pushing their chin forward or by tensing up the lips. That's what we want to prevent. So in the core, we're going to look at breath support, twang, and not creating tension in your jaw, your lips, and your tongue. The third pillar of my system is called the gearbox, and this is heavily based on the complete vocal technique. Now, this is a short demo of what we can do with the gearbox, but this is very important when we're singing because your vowels, the rules you apply, will actually determine the way you sound, and it also changes when you sing higher, when you sing lower. There's different parameters that we have to pay attention to. So in complete vocal technique, we say we have 4 vocal modes, so 4 ways we can use the voice. And there's rules for every vocal mode. You can see them on screen right now. And as you can see, for example, neutral, it says at the bottom what the characteristic is of neutral, and it sounds soft. So when I sing, I believe I can fly, that would be neutral. Now, if I change the rules, I change the vowels, I change the setting in my mouth, and I change the energy, you, for example, can sing overdrive. And overdrive is more shouty. So when I sing, take me to church, and you can hear immediately it has a very different characteristic to the sound compared to neutral. Then we have edge, which is like the sister of overdrive. It's very loud, but it's also very sharp. So when I sing, for example, said I would die for you, baby, and you can hear it becomes way more sharp. The cool thing about the gearbox is that everybody can make these sounds. So I get a lot of people in my studio who say, I have a small voice, I can only sing soft. But it turns out when we apply these rules, it can actually really become a powerhouse. And we can become way more conscious about how we want to sound. We're not just going to sing on good luck or, oh, this sounds okay, but I actually think it's too loud. I don't know how to change this. No, we can actually change anything you want in your voice. The fourth pillar that I use in the system to improve people's voices is called the Soundscape Sanctuary, and this is a cherry on top. It's also a bit more advanced. So in order to be able to change a sound color, we need to be able to control all the parameters that we've seen up till now, the twang, the breath support, the gearbox. But then, once we control this, we can start coloring the sound the way we want. There's 6 places where we can change the sound color. It's the larynx, you can change it with the twang, you can change it by lifting your soft palate, you can change it by altering the corners of your mouth, you can compress your tongue, and you can open your nasal passage. That will also change the sound color. These are the 6 places where you can do it, and it makes a dramatic change. For example, when I sing with a light sound color, it would sound a little bit like this. Young blood thinks as always tomorrow. I'm overdoing it now, don't worry. And then I'm gonna implement, for example, the lower larynx and let go of the twang a little bit. Young blood thinks as always tomorrow. So you can hear it's a big difference. Let's do it on one note. I'm singing the same exact note, but I'm just changing the sound color. So as you can see, it can be a dramatic and big effect on the way you sing. So this is it. This is all you need to improve your voice and get the voice you always dreamed of. You just have to implement it in the right way. And just with practicing 20 minutes, 3-4 times per week, you can really make a big difference in the way you sing, and it goes really fast if you implement the right techniques, the right tools. If you need help with this, check out the description. You can find a link to my Instagram there. Write me the word sing on Instagram, and then I know you're interested in one-on-one coaching, and we can check out whether we're the right match. Or you can book in a guidance call. That link is also in the description. And I'm just gonna get to know you, see if it's something for you, see if I can actually help you. And if I can and you're open to it, we can work together.